works. Settings. Share screen? Yeah, why not? Entire screen. Sharing it. Whoa, that's not good at all. That's not one bit. All right, let's see here. Make sure people can actually hear what I'm saying. Cool. So, what's going on today in the freaking world? As usual, I feel like I've talked about AI so much that I'm almost sick of talking about it. I'm at a company where we've been basically forced to use AI, like many companies out there. There's nothing wrong with asking developers to use AI. I think that we all are expecting to unlock some insane productivity. And the thing is, I'm not as worried about like AI replacing developers as much as I'm concerned about the people who really think that it can. And Sundar Pichai, CEO of Google, obviously, if you didn't know, had a really interesting podcast recently. We were talking about AI and Lex Friedman podcast, and he had this to say about productivity, which I think will surprise a lot of people, me honestly included. He expects that, where was it at? It's something like only 10% increase in productivity, which is wild. The company currently estimates a 10% boost in engineering velocity attributed to AI. So for like a year ago, we had companies, I forget the name, that was that one awful company that said, this is the end of developers. We're replacing developers in like 6 months. Most code will be auto-generated by AI or whatever. Then you had more companies on that bandwagon saying, 60% of code, 30 arbitrary metrics and figures of just like, yes, your code's all going to be written by AI. The funny thing is that I would say actually maybe 70% of my code is AI generated. What does that mean? It means I typed in a prompt, I accepted the output, I added it into my code base, and then I massaged it to work better. Does that mean the AI just like wrote 80% of it? Yeah, technically. But did it like just work on the first try? Almost universally, no. But this is where I feel like, are we coming into the final slope of enlightenment here? There's a chart here. There's like this chart, slope of enlightenment. If you see an image here, where things go through, you've probably seen this image in many places. I think this is somewhat like interesting to see, where something happens, like an innovation, like AI, and then you have this peak of inflated expectations, right? We're right around this area right here, where people are like, it's going to do everything. You're not going to have a job. But of course, the people that work in offices that are dunking on software engineers, they think they're going to keep a job. Then the people that work like with their hands think, well, I'm safe. And then all the energy and the media has been so hyper focused on software engineers. And this is really where I see a lot of the inflated expectations coming from. We keep hearing these metrics like 50% of software engineers won't be needed. We're not going to need people to code by hand anymore. And I feel like we're beginning to kind of get, I think a lot of developers are right here. If you use AI tools daily, which I do, and I'm going to show you too. I want to show you a little bit about Claude Code because I haven't used it at all yet. I've heard nothing but really great things about it, so I'm really excited to use it. I'm not an AI hater. I love these tools. I pay for Cursor. I pay for ChatGPT. I wouldn't pay money to these things if I thought they sucked. But I feel like here's where we are now, and I feel like we're going to get into this plateau of productivity, but it's not going to be the massive gains that people thought they were. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of this. I don't know what to make of the Google CEO saying this. I feel like he is incentivized to probably say a higher number. So if anything, I would expect that this number actually may be inflated. Here's the most interesting thing, though. They're planning to hire more engineers. Crazy, right? He said, we're going to actually hire more people because we can do more with those people. 10% of the massive company like Google is probably, that's a massive scale they can improve by. If they had a 1 or 2% increase in productivity, that's probably nothing to sneeze at. 10% is huge. And so they're actually planning to hire more people. Wouldn't you know? And before I get to the Claude thing, I just want to show you one last thing, because I'm a little sick of this narrative, the narrative that, jobs are like declining at such this insane pace. Here's where the pandemic boost, they never showed this part of the graph where we're essentially back here. They never show that part of the graph. I wish they would. But we went to this massive hiring spree after the pandemic, got to some insane amount of tech jobs. And then we fired everybody, right? It's like, okay, we're done. We're done with hiring 100 developers to work on a site to change the color of a button. We're done with that. Went through a really bad period. Now things have gone up, big jump up from here. Wow, what happened right here? What was this AI? Was this UAI doing this? And then here we go. We've gone just gone further up. We've gone further up. I don't know what to tell people because I get it. Like, yes, this sucks, right? Like this is bad, right? This is not bad. This in 2 years, so 2.5 years, and you're saying this is bad. No, this is bad, right? This is bad. This is not bad, right? So whatever you do, look at numbers and stats to inform your view of the tech hiring landscape, and don't just go off headlines in vibe driven articles, which are either trying to scare you because that's more click worthy than saying, hey, yeah, things aren't bad, but they're not great. That's boring. Who cares if they're not? We want either great or we want freaking terrible, right? That's all we care about. Now, now for the fun stuff. I've installed Claude on my machine here, and we're ready to code here. I'm trying to think of what I want. So I have this app that's using quite a lot of AI, and it's using RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation System, essentially to insert some data that I have available through web scraping into an LLM. So let's run this bad boy. I'm using Yarn. Going to run it, and I have a little bit of a problem, I think. I'm going to tell it I want to run the scraper to collect articles, and that's in it's at well, this is cool. I like this a lot. I like the fact that I can work directly in my terminal. So we're going to go to scrape news, which I believe is the file we care about. Scrape news, and let's go check out what scrape news is doing. Basically, I have something that's not working, and I'd like it to work. That'd be really cool if it worked, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be cool if it just worked and did what it was supposed to do? Super cool if it would do that. So let's see. So I wanted to scrape some stuff, and I have a scraper somewhere that's doing it. So let me find the exact place where this is happening. Scrape news sources. So this does some scraping. Cool. Search news, actually. Search news is actually the thing that is failing here. So I'm going to, it's actually this. So let's go get rid of that. And it's in Firecrawl. The Firecrawl, and it is not working. I know this is a lame prompt. I'm just really curious to see like what this can do. Can you run the API that calls this endpoint inspect? I know I spelled endpoint wrong. I don't care. It should understand. Inspect the output in the terminal and then fix the issue. I'm using Firecrawl. Well, they should actually know that actually. So let's just see what happens. Like, can it do all that stuff? I'm just curious. Okay. Restart to apply. No, not going to. Expecting this to not work great, but that's okay. I think that I can actually do the thing that I wanted to do. Yeah, you can proceed. Just go ahead and do it. And I'm going to cut this. Let's run it. I'm using Yarn. I'm using Yarn just so it knows to run the correct package installer when it wants to do that. Let's do it. And it's exploring still. Okay. You know what I could have done? I could have just actually hit this endpoint, got the output, jammed it into cursor, and asked cursor to fix it for me. So far, I think it's cool. I don't like the fact that it's taking this long. Okay, just press enter, press up to edit message. I'm using Yarn. 45 seconds later. Let's see if I can beat this thing. It's getting annoying. Okay, so let me go to localhost 3000. Semi-decent app. Let me see package.json, and we want to upload artists. Want to scrape news. So actually, I'm going to open up another terminal here. I'm going to do Yarn, scrape Yarn, run scrape news. Okay, come on. Jeez, I think it's slower than molasses here. Okay, no. Yarn, run scrape news. Come on, run it. Okay, cool. Okay, there's the issue. Success false, blah, 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 blah. Let me see if this is going to be faster. I'm going to open up this, make a new one, help. And it should be looking at that output. So now cursor, you go against this guy who sucks. Claude, I'm so annoyed. I never mean for this stuff to happen. I don't like purposely break these things. In fact, it's just my luck of the draw that would happen to break right when I'm trying to show you live how it works. And I'm sorry, it just didn't work. So maybe I should just kill it. And then we can try to start again while it's doing that. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Search news, not working. So what I'm doing is calling this scraping thing. So it can scrape some news, and I'm using Firecrawl, which is this library which can go out there and scrape stuff on your behalf, which is pretty cool. I don't want to do that. This is one of those things that unfortunately I feel like I'm gonna have to fix myself. Firecrawl is not necessarily like some niche library. It's just something that it might have a bit more trouble figuring out because I have some Zod schema in here. I'm using this library which I don't have access to the internal workings of. So I'm doing some things that might not be super obvious here that might, that it might not know how to do. So it just tells me like, here's some options to do. So I'm like, okay, you know what I would like to do actually? I'd like to just, be super simple. Console log search result. Let's just JSON stringify this. Okay. Jeez. What the hell? Is this what it's come down to? Is this really what it's come down to? When extractor JSON, okay, well, there we go. That's the error, isn't it? That's the error. Now help me. Now fix the error. I'm done with you, Claude. Do you want to proceed? Yeah, I do want you to proceed. It's already running in another terminal. Okay. Terminal. Okay. Keep going, Claude. Tell me what's going on. Okay, can I accept this? Okay, let's see what happens. And let's run it again. Oh, come on. This is something. Okay, unrecognized key to preview the V1 API documentation, unrecognized keys. It looks like something that I can fix on my own later. Anyway, again, these LLM tools, these are great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not done using you, Claude. I'm totally going to come back to you. I promise. I'm going to give you more of a shot. I just want to show you that even fixing something that looks fairly benign, fairly simple, isn't so simple all the time, right? This is something I'll need to look up. I'm sure that I'm just doing something dumb that's probably really easy to fix, but I'm just not exactly sure what it is at this point, and I don't know why this is giving me this issue. So I'm probably going to need to go to the documentation, actually read the documentation, and then come back with an actual fix later. But just jamming into LLMs, wasting lots of tokens for something I can solve on my own, no. Now, does that mean they suck? Of course not. Does it mean I suck? Maybe a little bit. I don't know. Anyway, always hope this kind of stuff is helpful. Stop falling for stupid clickbaity stuff about AI taking your job, and maybe just learn how to code. I don't know, or do whatever you want. See you around.